sponsored by EcoWatch. This debate falls on the heels of two prior debates, one October 18th at U of M Duluth, and one October 25th on KSTP 2045. Now, the goal of tonight's debate is to educate you, the audience, so that you can make an informed decision when you go to vote November 4th. So first I'll introduce our speakers, then I'll establish the ground rules, and then we'll begin. So my name is Robert Bauer. I'm a sophomore student in environmental science and policy management at the University of Minnesota. I have 2 years of experience monitoring debates in public education in Missouri. Also with us tonight is Linda Runbeck. She's the current president of the American Property Coalition, and she's representing no constitutional tax increase. Sources have called her the leading advocate for limited government, tax cuts, small business, and market forces during her Senate term. She's a former senator, state senator, excuse me. Also with us we have Charlie Poster, Communications Director for Vote Yes Minnesota. Mr. Poster formerly served as Outreach Director for Senator Amy Klobuchar. In his work as Outreach Director, he handled energy, environment, and transportation issues. Tonight's debate is focused on the following statement. Resolved, the state constitution should be amended to increase the sales tax by 3/8% for water, recreation, and arts projects. Mr. Poster agrees and will affirm the statement. Mrs. Runbeck disagrees and will oppose the statement. Now, the debate format is the following. Each speaker will have approximately 5 minutes for opening and closing statements, beginning with Mr. Poster, the affirmative. A 4-minute response will follow by the opposed, then a 2-minute rebuttal by the affirmative. The debate will continue for 50 minutes. After the debate, there will be 10 minutes for closing statements. I will keep time, and I may ask unlimited follow-up questions. Now, Mrs. Poster, Mrs. Runbeck, Mr. Poster, I would like you to question each other directly if I do not do so. Also, after closing statements, there will be a 5-minute intermission during which audience question cards will be collected and organized. I will then choose your questions and organize them, and each speaker will have 1.5 minutes to respond. The Q&A will run for 15 minutes or until all questions have been asked, whichever comes first. And Mr. Poster, you're first. Your opening statement, please.
Well, thank you so much for hosting us. I want to thank everybody for coming. We are a good draw, but I don't think quite as good as the former President of the United States who's in town at the exact same time. So here we are. I really want to thank you and EcoWatch for hosting us. I think everybody knows that the presidential election obviously is very heated and going on. There is a very heated Senate race. Not everyone, of course, knows about this, and that's why I think this topic is so important, and we appreciate the time to talk about this today. We're speaking about the Clean Water, Land, and Legacy Amendment. This is a state constitutional amendment that will be on every voter's ballot this fall. We'll get a chance to say if we want to invest in all the things that really make Minnesota special. Clean water, our outdoors tradition, and really our way of life. This would raise the sales tax by 3/8%, going to 4 areas. Clean up our lakes, rivers, and streams, to invest in fish, game, and wildlife habitat. It will go towards arts opportunities throughout the state in all 87 counties, and to make sure that we have a parks and trail system so we can get out and enjoy, Minnesota's many beautiful, our natural resources and our amenities. I think these are things we all value. We all value clean water. Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes. Minnesota literally means sky blue waters. And this is part of growing up in Minnesota. I'm sure a lot of people here are from here. If not, you moved here and probably chose to stay because of such a great state. But the fact is we have real problems, and that's what this bill seeks to address. Today, 40% of Minnesota's tested waters are polluted. 4 out of 10. I really think that's unacceptable in the land of 10,000 lakes. We're also the fastest growing state in the Midwest. We're going to add 1 million people over the next 25 years, placing increasing pressure on our resources. The same reason that a lot of people move here. They come here to experience our outdoors. We are very lucky to have this. Tourism is our second biggest industry in the state behind agriculture. Brings in roughly $10 billion to GDP. They come here our tourism industry is largely based around our out of doors. People come here to hunt, people come here to fish. But like I said, there are some real problems facing a lot of those natural resources. This is a good first step in solving those problems. It's not going to solve every problem, but it is a good way to invest in these problems, start moving towards testing lakes where there are problems, coming up with comprehensive solutions, and then solving them. And it's really important to talk to students because you are our strongest base of support. When we go around the state and we talk about our environmental problems, students and young people really seem to get it. They know that we're going to be the ones, and I include myself, we're going to be the ones that live with these problems if we don't act now. Not acting is not going to make these problems go away. If we don't pass this, that doesn't mean the problems aren't going to get worse. I don't know when we should act. If we're going to wait till 50% of our waters are polluted or 60%, I think that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start now and really invest in these areas before it's too late. So I'm glad we're going to have this conversation. It's very important. Like I said, it's one of only 3 statewide races this year. And I think that if people make an educated choice, if people know what the cost is and what the benefit is, they're going to vote yes on the Clean Water, Land, and Legacy Amendment.
Mrs. Runbeck, your turn.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to be here, and I'm happy to be sort of in cohorts with a number of well-known statesmen who are opposing the amendment. Former Senator Durenberger, former Congressman Don Fraser, former Congressman Bill Frenzel, and former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court Sandy Keith. And working with the Taxpayers League on this as well. But I think it should be cause for concern. And by the way, all of the major dailies have come out in opposition and recommended voting no on the amendment. And I think in part they're saying too, there's just not enough stuff, to understand about it. People don't know how the money will be spent. Many people don't realize it will raise $300 million new dollars a year to be handed out to nonprofits to spend. I mean, that's an ungodly amount of money. I frankly have no idea how they're going to manage and oversee and make those decisions, because it's a group of citizens and appointees, not elected officials, who will make the decisions. I think worrisome for me is that the people who are most passionate about this amendment are sportsmen's groups, who were the initial initiators of this idea about 10 years ago. In fact, when I was in the state senate, I voted a couple times against the idea. It was even more modest then, and it was only proposing 1/8 of a cent, or about $100 million a year, and it would have been out of the existing sales tax. But a lot of folks just didn't feel that kind of dedication really made much sense. So, but we are seeing the proponents' TV commercials, and they're talking about beautiful, pristine lakes and impaired waters. But this amendment is not just about clean water. It's really about the state extending control over virtually all activities that Minnesotans conduct on or near water, or even miles away from a water, if it's within an ecosystem. It also is going to provide, as I said, nonprofits with millions of dollars for environmental activism. The new tax would actually fund a bill that became law in 2005 or 6, the Clean Water Legacy Act. And that's why all of a sudden you've been hearing that 40% of tested waters in Minnesota are impaired. Well, we didn't have a term like that was effectively in a law. Now we have a definition that is become something we're all hearing about.